Look.
Wow. It will definitely get over.
Oh my God.
Whee, that's gonna go. Shit the bed.
Do you want to intro the video?
Yeah, I think that was the van I sold last week. Well, welcome to a day in the life of Martyn Ford. We're heading to town to train legs at Temple Gym. And, well, that's why I'm late. Bit of a fire on the motorway. Standard day. That's the type of rock and roll life I lead. Yeah, baby! Okay, so today's leg day. When I'm training legs, especially when I'm trying to train heavy and get into that zone and really really make the body grow, really make the body respond, really try and trigger the muscles into action. I always find it's great to start with a couple of isolation movements just to warm the body up and warm the mind up. I find by going into a big heavy compound as the first exercise, one, I find my body's not really ready, and two, and probably more importantly, I don't feel that the mind's ready. So I allow the first exercise of the day, today we did extensions, I allow that to be not only my physical, but my mental warm-up. Then once I've done 3 or 4 sets of a half decent weight, I like to go and work my way through a compound. The first compound I'm going to do today is hack squats. The first few sets, I don't really count. They're just warm-up sets. It's allow the body, the joints, and the mind to really get into that zone. Once we start hitting set 3 or 4, then it starts to get interesting. It gets, this is where it's going to really start to count. We're on set 4 now. Set 4, and I think we've got 4 or 5 plates aside. So it's a half decent weight. For this, I'm going to really focus on the negative, get full control. I'll probably stay down half a second to a second at the bottom, and I want to explode on the way up. I find this a great way to add muscle. And I'm still in a hypertrophy phase, so for me at the moment, it's really important to try and focus on correct training. Forget the ego, forget the moving of massive weights. Moving big weights is really important, but from past experience, it's only important to move the weights that your body's capable of. You're much better off doing 8 to 10 repetitions of a weight and going to complete failure with good form and good range of motion than adding an extra amount of weight and not being able to complete the exercise correctly. Yeah.
Okay, now I've finished 2 compounds. We did the leg press and we did the hack squat. Both of them, we went to a fairly decent weight and got some good numbers out. The intensity was definitely there. Body was feeling quite good, joints feeling good, mobilizing the hips, everything felt quite strong, so we pushed through the weights. And then we're on to hamstrings now. What I like to do when I train the hamstrings is to make the movement as smooth as possible, but to really catch the biting point. On this machine in particular, the biting point is on the down aspect. So when you're down and you can feel full contraction of the hamstring, I try and hold it for 2 to 3 seconds and really squeeze and feel the muscles, and then slowly lower it back up. On full extension, I'll stop the movement so I don't bounce, but I won't hold the movement because it's just allowing the muscles to relax too long. So the hold in between the movements is only on the harder aspects, the contraction. When we're at the top on the stretch, I'll break long enough to not allow me to bounce the movement, but not too long that the muscles stop working. Contraction speed is around about 1 to 2 seconds at the most. I'm not trying to work anything special with contraction speed here. I'm just really focusing on that squeeze ultimately. We'll work 12 to 15 repetitions to get the muscles loose, get the hamstrings warm, and I'll do 1 or 2 working sets. We'll go a little bit heavier, and I might then start to introduce a slow negative and really try and push the muscle into that nasty phase, that nasty state where it doesn't want to go, but ultimately that's what's going to make it stronger and give you progression. So on that set, you'll see the first 8 to 10 repetitions. I'll focus on the hold, and it was a good hold of maybe 2 to 3 seconds on each one. And then I had a couple of seconds breather and just went through 6 to 7 faster repetitions just to push the blood through the muscle and really try and stimulate that hamstring. And as you can tell, it was stimulated. Let's F4. Finished. Done. Do you camera swipe? Leg day. Did about 5 working sets. No, 5 working exercises, I believe. That's how tired I am. I can't even remember what we did. But you'll see from training, what I like to do is to try and get in. I tend to warm up for a good 5, 10, maybe even 15 minutes before I get into the first proper working set. The reason I do that is one, I'm getting old, and two, I like the body to be really warm and I like the mind to be ready and focused. So I find for me sometimes, especially when doing leg day, it takes more than a couple of sets to really get into it. But then once I'm into it, then working sets are 100%. You shouldn't be leaving anything in the tank. Make sure you pick out the sets you want to work on and give it all you've got. I've been Martyn Ford, this is Raycon 1. Take care and I'll speak to you soon.